Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Let us continue with our civics lesson, children. We have already seen what is the government, what are all the functions of government, and what are all the types of government, the various organs of government and the various forms of government. We have seen all these in detail. Now, we are moving to the next part in the lesson, which is universal adult franchise. Okay. So, what does it mean? This is a new term for us. So, this means that in olden days, in many countries, based on the status, based on the gender, based on the caste, religion, color, and on all these bases, many people were denied their basic rights. Okay. So, they were not allowed to participate in the election and they were not even allowed to cast their vote. So, this was denied in olden days. So, what happened? They were treated as second class citizens. Okay? So, their opinions on any matter, even though it was correct, even though if their opinions were right on the sense, that was not taken into account. Okay? No one considered their opinion. So, what happened at one stage? They were not allowed to participate in any thing of the country, any event of the country. Especially women were not allowed in any participation. See, women were like, they were stereotyped. Stereotyped is nothing but they were like, they cannot educate themselves, they need not educate themselves because they are expert in household works. This was the stamp given on women. So, they were allowed only to make their household works and they were not given any proper education and they were not allowed to take part in anything of the country or even at the next level than the house. So, they decided that education or any effort on education is not required for women. So, what happened at some stage in 19th century, okay? So, the people all over the world started fighting against this. So, women started fighting that they need equal rights as men, okay? So, they started fighting and they asked for the right to vote. People of age 18 and above should be given rights to vote. They have to select their representative, they have to select their leader. This was their demand and they started fighting all over the world, irrespective of the caste, religion, gender and economic status. So, ignoring all these aspects, people fought that they require the right to vote. So, many fight situations were going on. So, two important movements of this we are going to see in the lesson. One is the Suffragette movement and the other one is Anti-Apartheid movement. Okay? First one is Suffragette movement and the other one is Anti-Apartheid movement. So, first about Suffragette movement. As I said earlier, in 19th century, first the British women started to speak up for their rights. This all started in British. So, they demanded the right to vote and they demanded a particular position in political environment. They demanded that they should be inside the politics. They wanted to vote, they wanted to be a part in politics. So, this movement is called as Suffragette movement. So, how did this movement started? All of a sudden, how people wanted their rights. This started with the inspirational writings of John Stuart Mill. Okay? So, he was a great British philosopher, he is a political economist and he is a civil servant also. Okay? So, inspired by his writing, many people started fighting for their rights. Okay? So, he is one of the most influential thinkers in the history of classical liberalism. He wanted people to be independent on their own. He wanted people to be treated equally irrespective of the caste, religion, color, gender, whatever it is. He wanted all those to be eradicated from the society. He wanted everyone to be treated equal. So, inspired by his writings, people started fighting. So, once this movement started, when people at England started fighting, the British people, when they started fighting, the news went on all over the world, and many men and women all over the world joined this movement. So, first the men and women of USA joined along with them, and they started demanding the rights to vote. And later what happened, after all these movements, after all these fights all over the world, first right to vote to women was given in New Zealand in the year 1893. Okay? So, first the equal rights for women to participate in voting was given in New Zealand. Then this movement, after this movement, people started believing that women are not only to be at home. Women need not be always engaged in household work. People started believing. So then what happened there, after these two world wars, more strength, women gained more strength, they got more support. Clear? So what happened? During the world wars, all the men were called up for fight. Everyone has to go for the war. So what happened? What will happen in the family and the country situation? Women had to replace men. Okay, so what happened? Women started working in the place of men, and they proved that they are equally efficient to men during this period, during 1942-43 itself. During the World War, people started working, that is, women started working equally to men, and they proved that they are equally efficient as men. So, after this World War, and when they saw that women can efficiently manage things both at home and at workplace, men realized that women are also to be recognized as equal citizen as men. So, after this suffragette movement, men and people across the countries, they realized that women should also be given equal importance as men. So, the voting rights was granted to women first in USA in the year 1920 and in UK in the year 1928. So, but in India, before independence also, during the British rule, there was voting rights given to women, but it was confined only up to the women who were holding some properties. So, only the rich women can vote. All the poor women or the other ladies are not supposed to vote before independence, but in later stages it changed. Okay? So, in later stages, that is when the constitution was framed in 1950, we have seen about the constitution in our previous sessions. It is about the equality of people, right? Everyone should be treated equally. So, after this constitution was passed in 1950, universal adult franchise was applied and practiced in India. So, only after 1950 it was applied all over the country. So, you can see the picture of women being employed in 1942 during the World War II. You can see women being employed as engineers. Okay? So, in 1942 itself, women were capable of taking up the challenges. So, she is Christabel Pankhurst. She is a British suffragette, and she was the founder of Women's Social and Political Union, WSPU. She is the founder. So, this is all about suffragette movement. Now, moving on to anti-apartheid movement. Apartheid is the African word which means apartness, which means separating a group of people, okay, keeping them apart. That is the meaning of the word apartheid. So, non-white population, okay, so people of black, they were kept apart from the country, that is, they were being treated unfair on the for quite a long time. So, the whites and the non-whites were not treated equally in foreign countries. So, especially in South Africa, discriminating people on the basis of color was official. Okay? So, and that was called as apartheid. So, people who are non-white were suffering a lot because of this. See, they were not allowed to move along with the white population. They cannot go wherever they want. They had a separate school, separate college, separate restaurant, separate living areas, separate railway compartments were also provided for non-whites. When white people travel in a compartment, non-whites cannot get into that compartment. That is how it was in olden ages. So, schools and colleges for whites, they had a separate schools and colleges, but non-whites were not given admission in those schools and colleges. So, the basic human right and a basic political right to the non-whites was completely denied. Okay? So, they were like in their own land, they were facing a lot of humiliation. They were ill-treated in their own place, in their motherland they were treated not good. So, many people protested, many people started fighting against this apartheid. So, one such great leader is Nelson Mandela. Many would have known about his name. Nelson Mandela is the first and foremost leader who fought for non-whites. Okay? So, he is the very important leader who fought against this apartheid, and he is an active member of African National Congress. See, that organization was formed especially to eradicate the racial discrimination in South Africa. So, to eradicate this difference, to eradicate the difference based on color, this organization was formed, and he was the most important member of that organization. So, for participating in this movement, for fighting against the whites, for fighting for the rights of non-whites, clear? For fighting against the whites, and he fought for the rights of non-whites. He was imprisoned and he spent 27 years of his life in prison. Okay? So, but still, even when he was in the prison, he was fighting for his people. He was fighting for non-white. Okay? So, what happened? This news became viral and all over the world it went up, and from the pressure from many countries to release Nelson Mandela, without any other option, whites of the South Africa had to release him in the year 1990. So, after 27 years of imprisonment, in 1990 he was released by the whites, and after that he was awarded Nobel Prize for Peace because he didn't fight, he didn't bury any bus, he didn't do any violent things. He was fighting just for his people. So, he was given Nobel Prize for Peace in the year 1993, and the very next year, okay, the very next year of his Nobel Prize, this apartheid came to an end. So, after that everyone has to be treated equally was the final law passed. So, and after this apartheid had ended, Mandela was the first non-white president of South Africa. So, he is the first non-white president. So, that is all about anti-apartheid movement. Finally, we are coming to the universal adult franchise in India. See, India is the largest representative democracy in the world. So, what is this representative democracy? I have told you already, democracy is the government of the people, by the people and for the people. I have been repeatedly saying this to you. So, any leader of democracy is nothing but a person from us. We choose him to be the leader of us. So, that is representative democracy. Okay? So, Indians, we do not participate directly in the politics, but the we have the power to choose or elect our representatives by casting our vote, right. So, we have the power to choose or elect our representatives. We select our representatives and they are always answerable to us, right. So, by voting every 5 years, we choose our representative to take care of us and our country, and that is universal adult franchise. And but in olden ages, the ancient and medieval period, okay, during the ancient period and medieval period, India was ruled by the dynasties of monarchs, that is the hereditary kings. We have seen what is monarchs, right. So, the hereditary kings and queens were ruling our country. So, on those period we did not have any rights to vote, and after that when British started ruling our country, again we were denied the rights to vote, because many illiterates, women and the people without property, that is poor people, they were not allowed to cast their vote during the British rule. So, after fighting of many years, we have finally got the right to vote after attaining the age of 18. Each and every citizen of India after 18 years of age can cast their vote to select our representatives. So, with this we are coming to the end of our civics first lesson. See you soon in next lesson, children. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.